Good day, and welcome to Conversations with AARP in the Virgin Islands. I'm Troy Deshabir Schuster, State Director of AARP in this territory. And once again, it's a great pleasure to be with you, bringing you important information affecting the 50-year-old and older population in this territory. And today we have with us my colleague and special friend from AARP, Mr. Bill Sweeney. He's the Senior Vice President of Government Affairs within AARP, and he works in the national office in Washington, D.C. Welcome, Bill.
Thanks, Troy. It's great to be with you.
Thank you for being with us today. And as we start up, tell us a little bit more about your role as Senior Vice President of Government Affairs within AARP. What do you do on a daily basis for all of us?
Sure. Well, it's really my honor to be at AARP working to represent the voices of Americans 50 plus. We have a national presence where we advocate with Congress, with the Senate, with the administration, and even sometimes in the courts, as well as a presence in all 50 states, the U.S. Virgin Islands, the Puerto Rico, and the District of Columbia. So we're very excited to be such a nationwide organization with such a presence all across the country, representing people who are 50 plus and standing up for their needs. And so one of the great things about my job is that we lead our federal work. We spend a lot of time working with Congress to make sure that that the laws they pass are fair and that they're addressing the needs that people have, but also working with all of you, the amazing AARP staff and volunteers who are in our offices all around the country to support your efforts to work on issues in the territory and in the states and even at the local level. So we're there to support all of you in the local places and doing the work on the ground that really is so meaningful for people.
Yeah, thank you for giving us that insight into your work in AARP. And, here in the Virgin Islands, and I'm sure we hear it all over the country, whenever we ask people, what is AARP all about? What does AARP do? The two responses we always get here in this territory are, it's for old people and it's insurance. Right. and both things are so far from being true because we're not about old people. As I always say, we look toward helping the 50 plus population live their best life, live their life fully, empowering them to do so. And we certainly don't sell insurance, but we are advocates all across the country, from Capitol Hill to every state and municipality and the 3 territories we serve. So, and that advocacy is the pinnacle of our work, and everything else we do supports that. So we're always inviting all of our members here in the Virgin Islands. We have quite a number here, actually, Bill. The total population of the Virgin Islands is a little over 100,000, about 105, 110. We're waiting for the new census results to come out. But we have almost 22,000 members, over 21,000 members here in the Virgin Islands in AARP. So that's almost a quarter of the population, right?
It's amazing. Well done. Well, I think it goes to show the power and the importance of this, right? I think one of the things I love about AARP is our mission, that we empower people to choose how they live as they age. And I can't think of a greater mission, a greater thing to be working on, because hopefully all of us get older, and I think all of us, when we think about what we want our lives to be like, are ones where we're fulfilled and we're having fun and we're enjoying life, right? And for too many people, that's just not the way. That's not reality. And so my job, and I think it's your job too, all of our jobs, is to make sure that it becomes a reality. And we fight as hard as we can to make that a reality for as many people as possible. And I know how fulfilling that is for me, and I know how important it is for older people to be able to live independently, to have, they have hopes and dreams too. It's not just little kids that have dreams of what they want to do when they quote grow up, right? We've got this awesome experience in this country where we have people who change careers later in life and they go and do new things. And I just love being a part of that and trying to help make that a reality for more people.
Fantastic. And so thinking about all of that, last year we had a lot of work to do as we face this pandemic, COVID-19, that affected the whole planet in such a remarkable way. And especially our older population, we saw so many of our older people being negatively impacted by it. High death rate among the older population, especially in nursing homes. And so AARP, we had to really roll up our sleeves and do even more work to advocate for our constituency, our members, the older population in the United States. And also fitting that within the framework of health, wealth, and self.
Mm-hmm.
So as we look at wealth, we think of financial resilience.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2020, persons 50 and older living in U.S. territories were faced with unequal treatment, especially with regard to their economic impact payments. They were asked to complete a tax return in order to receive their payment. And this became very burdensome for many people. Can you share with us what role did AARP play in ensuring residents receive their full payments without having to jump through extra hoops?
Well, thanks, Troy. In 2020, two of our top successes were ensuring that all Social Security beneficiaries in both states and the territories receive their full stimulus payments instead of the lower amount. There was an early draft of the bill that we got a hold of that would have provided $1,200 to almost everybody else in the country, but people who are relying on Social Security would have only gotten $600. So we went to work. We lit up the phones. We called everybody we knew. We got the statistics. We got the information. We met with everybody we could meet with, and I'm really glad 3 days later they put out a new draft and they had fixed it and raised it back up to $1,200, which was the same as everybody else got. So that was, I think, number one, a big success. And I know that without AARP's work, that wouldn't have happened. And then the second one was making sure that, as you mentioned, in the territories, where there's a little bit of a different structure in terms of the way that local tax authorities who are responsible for distributing the payments, how they were supposed to identify and work with Social Security beneficiaries. And so there was just a lot of, frankly, a lot of bureaucracy at the federal level that AARP, we have great contacts, which we've worked really hard to build over the years. We reached out to them and said, look, we need to sit down and talk about this, because what you're asking people to do, to go out in the middle of a pandemic and fill out some paperwork and mail it in. I mean, it's not a good system. And it doesn't make any sense, because the government already has everyone's information for Social Security in a database. So why can't we just share it with the other parts of the government to make sure that people can get their payments? And so we worked really hard. We got the Social Security Administration and the IRS to work with local leaders to get that information. And thankfully, older Virgin Islanders were able to get and people with disabilities as well, were able to get those much needed stimulus payments without having to do extra paperwork. So I was very glad to see that.
Yeah, and thanks so much for making it possible for the local government to get that listing of Social Security beneficiaries. On the ground here, it was not a very pleasant scene, because like in the U.S. mainland, you have electronic filing for taxes and so forth. Here we don't. So before AARP, I advocated for the local government to receive this information. Not only did the people have to file their taxes, but they had to actually go to the local tax authority physically. They couldn't mail it in. They couldn't do it electronically. And it became a very difficult situation, because then people were congregating there, trying to file their taxes. We were in the height of the pandemic. People still didn't really know how this virus was working, or how it was spread, or how it was contracted. And so it became very difficult. And then, surprise, surprise, AARP got this all worked out, and IRS and the U.S. Treasury sent all the information to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Mm-hmm. But then Puerto Rico paid everybody on the list. It was a comprehensive list they received. You probably recall that, Bill. And and so many people in the Virgin Islands who were Social Security beneficiaries received two payments. Mm-hmm. They got the direct deposit from the government of Puerto Rico, and then they got a check in the mail from the government of the Virgin Islands. And thankfully, the people, most of them were very, very honest and returned one of the payments. And our local government was then able to put a stop on the paper checks that were going out. So it didn't happen to everybody. Not all Social Security beneficiaries received two payments, but a lot of them did. So, AARP first was having troubles getting them one payment, then and around we got them two. but they were honest and returned the second payment. So I'm glad it all worked out. And now moving into the future with future payments, at least we have that database here. So very happy that we were able to help.
It's amazing how those things work out at these strange twists and turns. I mean, I think that one of the things we saw last year, though, right, was that everything was strange. Everything was not what we expected it. I remember we put together a big list of our priorities and things we were going to work on last year in January. And then, by the beginning of March, at the end of February, all of that had been turned on its head. And so, I was proud. AARP was one of the very first organizations to raise to Congress that, early reports out of China were showing that this virus was having a particularly bad effect on people 50 and older, and nobody really understood why. And I'm honestly not sure that the science has quite figured it out yet. But we knew that there was this something that was happening that made it worse for older people, and we raised that with Congress, and we said, look, you've got to spend whatever it takes to find treatments, to find cures, to find maybe even a vaccine. I mean, I thought that was a little pie in the sky at the time, and it's remarkable that we have come this far. That with tremendous investments from the federal government, we have been able to come up with this science that I hope is going to save so many lives. We've already seen the numbers in nursing homes going way, way down. And so it's just a really phenomenal story that someday, when it's not so painful and we're not right in the middle of it, I think we're going to look back at this and see this as a real revolution in medicine and in science. And I think that's I don't want to call it a silver lining, because there's no way to have a silver lining of something so awful and so deadly. But if there's if there's any possibility that something good can come from this, I hope it is some real revolutions in our medical understandings.
Absolutely. And talking about our medical understandings, it's phenomenal that we got a vaccine so quickly, and very heartening that the older population was put at the front of the line, to receive vaccines. And here in the Virgin Islands, it went very well. As a matter of fact, now it's open to people of all ages here, from 16 years of age and up, because we did such a great job rolling out the vaccinations here in the VI. So really happy about that. And so looking at our Supreme Court, AARP continues to fight for equity for its 38 million members across the country, be it against ageism, financial security, or health disparities. Recently, a case made it to the Supreme Court about the eligibility of Puerto Rico, Guam, and the U.S. Virgin Islands residents receiving social SSI benefits. What is AARP's position on this issue?
Well, look, right now, as we're speaking, there is this court case moving through to the Supreme Court. Really about whether it's constitutional for Congress to have excluded territory residents from being eligible for those SSI benefits back when they created the program in 1972. And these are pretty modest financial assistance to people who are really in need, the aged, the blind, people with disabilities, people with very, very low incomes. And so in April of last year, a lower court held that Congress had violated the Constitution when it denied those benefits to people living in the territories. And in September, the previous administration appealed that ruling to the Supreme Court, who agreed to hear the case. And AARP believes that SSI benefits provide a critical lifeline to those who need it the most, and we should not unconstitutionally deny those benefits to U.S. territory residents. And so in March, AARP sent a letter to the Justice Department requesting that they withdraw their appeal to the Supreme Court and allow territory residents to be eligible for these benefits. And so I am hopeful that they will take our advice, that they will listen to us and just withdraw the appeal. If they don't, AARP is planning to weigh in with the court and to submit a brief to make our case, because I think it's a very important one to convey that this is a matter of constitutionality. This is a matter of fairness, and there's no reason that people in the territory should be excluded unfairly.
Yeah, this has always been a real struggle for us as a territory. All the territories are treated different from the states, even with regard to the federal local match for Medicaid and a variety of other issues. Every once in a while, the question comes up, are we even American citizens? And that's very disheartening, rather distressing to think that maybe one day we will not be American citizens, and so it's really important that we have equal treatment. And this hits really close to home for me too, because I have people in my own family who need those SSI benefits and cannot receive them because they live here in the Virgin Islands. And not only within my family, but so many other people I know and many people I've met along the way. And so I'm really hopeful that this will be successful and that everybody in the territories will certainly receive SSI benefits.
Me too. Yeah. And look, before I started working at AARP, I worked in the U.S. Senate for 18 years, and we had these constant battles on the Medicaid. What you just mentioned, the Medicaid issues and the funding for the territories, and there was always these cliffs, right? This funding was about to run out. The funding again is going to run out in September if Congress doesn't act. They've acted before, but it's always been at the very last minute or just a little too late. Creates this uncertainty and this confusion, and there's just no excuse for it. So we are hopeful that Congress fixes that as well. And I agree with you. It's about time that we get this figured out at the federal level, so that there isn't this constant double standard and a difference in the way people are treated.
Yeah, our delegate to Congress, Stacey Plaskett, she has introduced a bill in the House also regarding equal treatment for us, equal state-like treatment, so that we can receive more Medicaid benefits and a variety of other benefits here in the Virgin Islands. So we're hopeful that this will be successful.
That's great.
Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, the three pillars are health, wealth, and self. And so we talked a little bit about wealth. Now, looking at health, especially about our nursing homes, we mentioned that the nursing homes were so negatively impacted. The COVID-19 really wreaked havoc on them. And so how has AARP's advocacy translated to safer and equitable care for our older residents in long-term care facilities?
Well, I can't. I honestly, when I think about what happened last year in nursing homes, it is. I gotta take a deep breath. 175,000 people in America. 175,000 of our fellow Americans died in nursing homes, and that's 33% of all of the deaths in America. And this population of people living in nursing homes represents only less than 1% of the population, accounted for 33% of the deaths. And it makes me so angry that in so many ways people are choosing to just forget that was something that just happened a few months ago. They're ready to move on, and the situation in these facilities hasn't improved. The reason for this, I mean, we believe there are reasons for that these deaths happened in these facilities. You've got congregate facilities, you've got people sharing rooms. It is really tragic, and there's chronic understaffing, there's chronic poor performance. The Government Accountability Office put out a report last May that showed that even before the pandemic, 8 out of 10 nursing homes in America had been cited for poor infection control practices. Things like not washing your hands in between seeing residents from one room to the next. This is basic stuff that we've known about for 200 years, and yet it's not been happening in our nursing homes, and they've gotten away with it. And so I think there needs to be some real change. There needs to be some real structural change, because COVID-19 was a deadly virus, and it was horrible, and we drew all of our attention here. But how many other deadly viruses are there that can rage through a nursing home facility when people aren't when the staff aren't washing their hands, when they're understaffed, when they're chronically underpaid, undertrained, and don't have the what they need. So we are really focused on this, because there's just nothing. We also know that the vast majority of people don't want to age in a nursing home, right? They want to age at home. They want to be in their communities. And so I think the number one thing we can do to fix the issues in America's nursing homes is to make sure that people who don't need that level of care can get the care that they need at home. And so I'm really excited. I'm thrilled to see that the new plan that the president has put out, that's moving through Congress now, calls for a major investment in home and community-based care. It's just so important. And I think, when we think about what's happening in nursing homes, how do we get people to get the care they need at home instead? But we also need to see better staffing. We need to see those staff getting paid better. We need to see more nurses in those facilities. We need to see more smaller facilities. They're called greenhouses. I think it's a really great idea, where people have their private rooms, and it feels a little bit more like what you'd expect from a way to age gracefully and with dignity. And so anyway, I just keep going back to the thousands of people across the country who've lost their loved ones, their moms, their dads, their grandparents, their aunts and uncles, and their dear friends who have lost their lives alone in nursing homes. And we really just we need to do a better job of taking care of older people in this country with better facilities, better options, and it's going to be a big focus for AARP in the years to come.
Yeah, here in the Virgin Islands, we don't have any CMS certified nursing homes, unfortunately. Our government is working to develop some right now, but we have 2 homes for the aged, one in St. Croix and one in St. Thomas, that function as nursing homes. So we call them homes for the aged. And we had several deaths, especially in the home for the aged in St. Thomas. And so AARP locally, we advocated for more testing. Up until that point, they were testing the employees every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. But as you know, the test is only good up to the moment the sample is taken, right? So you can take a sample, and right, all the time while that sample is being studied, the person can contract the virus. And by the time they get the results, negative results maybe, but now they're positive for the virus at that time. Mm-hmm. So anyhow, we worked with our local senators and with these homes for the aged to increase testing of all of the employees. And then we actually saw that after that, there were no more deaths reported in those homes for the aged. So I think that we were successful in that arena. And we hope that we will continue to be safe and protect our older adults as we move into the future. Now, looking into the next year, or this year, actually, because we were talking about last year, now looking at 2021, what are some of the things on the horizon for AARP on the federal level regarding financial resilience and health security?
Well, I mentioned the really, I think, exciting opportunities in looking at our caregiving infrastructure in America and how we support family caregivers. I think I've had to do this in my family more than once, and I expect I'll have to do it again in the future, is really navigate this system that is, Well, look, it's not really built to be family friendly, I don't think. It's built to do whatever it's built to do, but it's hard for families to navigate this complicated system and all these acronyms and letters and LTSS and HCBS and LTCFs and all these things that regular people just don't do. They don't live this. If this isn't their lives, they don't think about it all the time. And so I'm really, really passionate about making sure that family caregivers get the help that they need, the support they need. And so we're really excited to see that. Also really focus on making sure people are getting the vaccines, right? We've got you've done tremendous work in the Virgin Islands, and it's great to see that it's opening up to almost everybody now, but we've still got a long way to go. And we're so close to beating this virus. We've really got to just, double down on it. So we're really fighting hard to make sure that there is ample support for vaccines, that the funding is there. We also really want to see efforts to expand broadband and telehealth. And we know that one of the great things at AARP, we work at the federal level and at the territory level on telehealth, on broadband. And so really want to make sure that everybody can stay connected. And especially as we've learned in this pandemic, how important it is. And so those are some of the key things that we're thinking about as we go forward. But I also have to say the current debate in Congress, at the administration, around infrastructure is so important for older Americans. And I think older people in the territories, I know what happened in the Virgin Islands several years ago. You've been hit hard more than once, and you've seen the importance of having strong infrastructure and what happens when it needs to be improved. And so we've seen that all around the country. We saw that in Texas this winter. We saw in Mississippi, where people still don't have clean water. I saw this in my home state of in Flint, Michigan. We've really got a lot of work to do on infrastructure, and it's older Americans who often pay the price. So I'm really passionate about that, and I hope we can get some good work done in the next couple of months ahead.
Fantastic. And one of the things you mentioned just now, telehealth.
Yeah.
One of our priorities here in the Virgin Islands. We do have a telehealth law in the VI code, but it does not allow for physicians to bill insurance for services rendered through telehealth or telemedicine. All right. Right now, if a patient wants to see a doctor that way, they will have to pay cash out of pocket.
Wow.
But we have a bill that's before our legislature now, which expands telehealth not only to physicians, but also other healthcare providers, and also allows the healthcare providers to bill insurance companies. So we're really, really excited about that. And we hope that that will make its way through our local legislature successfully and be signed into law by our governor. And that'll really improve access to healthcare. But Bill, we're almost out of time. There is so much we can discuss. As we know, AARP is a world of possibilities, and we do so much to advocate for the 50-plus population. And any parting words from you?
Well, I just want to thank you for all the great work you're doing. I want to thank the members in Virgin Islands who are advocating, who are doing the volunteering, who are reaching out, who are helping to pass bills like that telehealth bill. It's so important, and I think it's really the future. We've got to get these laws fixed and get them updated so that they're really relevant for now. And so tremendous work, and I wish you all the best as we'll be working with you to help you get that done and get it over the finish line.
Great. Thanks so much, Bill, and thanks for making the time to be with us today and sharing this important information with our members here in the Virgin Islands.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Have a great day.
Thanks.